Coach Tony, Risling Podium Performance, and today is arm day. So I'm not going to be using the over warm-up method today, just because with arms, it's more of an isolation movement, and doing it over warm-up isn't necessarily always the greatest thing, because then you're kind of going beyond what you can actually handle. But I am going to be doing purely just hypertrophy style work, starting with some pronated grip stuff before working my way around a couple different grips before getting fully supinated. For biceps, and then for triceps, I'm just going to be basically doing the complete reverse each time. So jumping right into it. So I'll be starting out with some reverse curls with the easy curl bar, and then some reverse grip skull crushers. The same thing I was doing for the first two exercises for the 6, 12, 25, the first one for the biceps and the first one for the triceps. So hopping right in. So in place of doing an over warm-up, what I'll end up doing is I'm just going to pause at the top each one, get a good strong contraction. And for the reverse grip skull crushers, basically where you would normally hold for supinated curls with the easy curl bar, you grab that same spot, but now you're going with skull crushers. For this, I'm aiming for 8 to 10 reps on both of the exercises. We'll see how it goes, because honestly, with the reverse curl, that's probably where it's going to be the hardest one between the two. Aiming about 3-second eccentric. Okay, so showing both sets of the reverse curls. So what I'm really focusing on here as best as I can is I am going to end up swinging, because this is basically half my weight being lifted out in front of me. So it's going to cause my body to teeter a little bit, but I'm trying as best I can to minimize that, so I'm not using momentum to lift, and I'm trying to keep my elbows back behind it so it's not perfectly perpendicular at the top. There's a few reps where it does do that, but I'm really focusing on keeping the elbows back so the tension stays on the actual muscles instead of resting. And hopping right into the reverse grip skull crushers here. So these, you got to really be holding on. I have a note on that coming at the end of the video, but when you're doing these, you're going to get a much more intense feeling in the triceps, right from the stretch all the way through to the contraction. Big thing here is you're trying to come down right to either the bridge of your nose or your brow. Right in the middle of your forehead is a good place to kind of spot it. Obviously, don't smash yourself in the forehead, because that's just stupid and it's going to hurt. That's what makes it stupid. But you're really focusing here on the triceps with it. One of the great things about reverse grip skull crushers especially, it gives you an incentive to hold on tight, because if you don't, that bar will slip out of your hand really quick. So if you're ever doing reverse grip skull crushers, make sure you're holding on for dear life, because that's one way to protect needing some dental or some plastic surgery work on your own face. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're doing them. Okay, so next up I'm going to be doing a superset of neutral grip or hammer grip preacher curls on the glute ham developer, and then seated overhead triceps extensions. So both these are going to be unilateral, so single arm using a dumbbell. So for the preacher portion with the hammer grip, I'm using a Watson Pro dumbbell. So the great thing about Watson Pro dumbbells, you can get them in a rotating thick grip. So this takes some of the strain off the wrist, but at the same time with that fat grip, it allows you to get a good solid work for your grip. So stronger forearm muscles. Also, the rotating grip is knurled, so great way to do it. So full disclosure, this is the only one I currently have, 10 kilos. But the great thing with Watson is you can get them all branded. So mine's got branding on it. Thank you to Simon Watson for this. But yeah, time to hop into it. So I'm aiming for 10 to 12 on each arm, and then I head over and do the triceps portion. I'm doing these on the preacher curl, well, on the GHD being used as a preacher curl. How I'm getting myself set up is I get it so that my upper arm is on the pad, and then when I get to the bottom, my forearm comes in contact with the pad. I'm trying as best as I can to ensure that I get a nice straight arm. I don't want it to hyperextend, I want it to get nice and straight, and then I come up and I flex nice and hard. And now diving into it, so showing the first and second set. The first set I started with right arm, second set I started with the left arm. So big thing that I'm really trying to focus on here is keeping my forearm in a straight line. I'm trying not to supinate, so I'm trying not to turn my palm to the sky or pronate, have it go facing towards the ground. I'm really focusing on keeping that neutral grip here. What that's going to do is, instead of it working primarily your biceps brachii, which is the big muscle you see on top, it's going to be focusing on your brachialis and brachioradialis, the muscles that kind of sit underneath that help you bend your elbow. These, when they're properly developed and everything in kind of like in balance with everything, it helps to make it so that your elbows are less likely to have any kind of like elbow pain, especially when you're bending the elbow. It takes away some of the issues you can get, tendinitis, because you're building up the structural balance in and around the elbow joint. A lot of people that do most of their curls just one or two ways. Change the grip, change how you're doing things every so often, and you're going to make it so that you're less likely to run into overuse type injuries. So like as I'm doing this, so I'm pointing on the second set here that I'm trying to keep it so that I don't let my forearm become vertical. I'm keeping it so that it's always going to have tension on the muscle. An issue people run into is they allow the muscle that's working to rest. I'm keeping it so that there's no rest going on. And then we get into the single arm overhead triceps extensions. So here what I'm really focusing on is I'm trying to keep the elbow as tight in as I can, but just the way structure is and the line of pull, it does end up slightly going out. It's something that I can definitely work on personally to improve in my own lifts. Seeing this in video exposes it, which is good. So I know, okay, in the future I got to tighten it up, keep the elbow closer to my head. It feels like it's close, but in reality, as we can see, it isn't. So here, the big thing here is as you're bending the elbow, you want to get it so that you're actually bending so that your forearm covers your biceps. And I want ideally to keep my upper arm, like my humerus, perpendicular to the floor, straight up and down. As you can see, as I'm bending, I have a little lack of flexibility going on, so I need to work on the flexibility so that I can keep that straight up and down, so I can keep better tension on the triceps overall when I'm doing this. The next superset I'm going to be doing for biceps triceps is both going to be using a pulley. So the biceps part is going to be using the low pulley and just doing some curls with that. I'm using the Prime Fitness USA CAS handles. The nice thing is I've got both sets, so I have the thick grip and the slimmer grip. They're both fatter grip, but there's a bigger one and a smaller one. So for the biceps, I'm going to be using the bigger one, so a little bit more grip action being used. Then for the triceps, I'm going to be basically just swapping out the handle on the one side here and then going with some overhead triceps extensions with the cable. So yeah, here we go. And I've got, I just have 25 pounds on each pulley. And then this is honestly one of my favorite cable style bicep curls. You get out in front of the curl. Every time you come down to the bottom, you come in behind your body, so you're getting even more stretch in the biceps. And you're never at a point where you get any kind of tension coming off the muscle the entire time. It's quite intense, and using the fat grips really hits it hard. So it's a great intense pump that you get from there. And then the French press again. This is just a fun exercise to do because it's tough. There's no real rest point because the weight is constantly pulling you back. The triceps, even at the lockout, still have to do a little bit of work. So again, you don't really get any rest on the exercise. The first set, I forgot what the count was, like 2. All right, so that's everything for today's workout. Short and sweet, straight to the point, just getting some stimulation into the arms, not trying to annihilate. I still got a couple more workouts this week that still require the biceps and triceps to be able to function fairly well. My post-workout is going to be a full scoop of ATP Labs grass-fed whey, a half scoop of their greens rice whole food mix, and 5 grams of creatine monohydrate from Clean Athlete. If you want to get 10% off an order from ATP Labs, go to the link in the description below, atplabs.com, and use code RISLING10, that's RISLING 10 at checkout to get 10% off. That's good in both Canada and the US. Also, the other day I posted a video that has to do with bracing and how to properly brace your core for lifting. So if you'd like to check that out, I'll link it right up here. Otherwise, if you like the type of content I'm putting out between the vlogs and other stuff, please take a moment now to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Anyways, that's all for today. Coach Tony, Risling Podium Performance. Go get an arm pump on and embrace your potential.